Just a scant 3 months ago, this entire transcript will be posted on Rumble, by the way. Just a scant 3 months ago, I was going to do a video about this, but forgot and found the relevant material again. Mara Gay, some clown named Mara Gay, was proving to everyone how dumb she is when she opined about the Democrat crime wave sweeping America. And the only specific thing she mentioned was that Columbus, Ohio has a higher murder rate than New York City. Other outlets picked up this zinger and by golly thought it served as good rebuttal. I don't think Democrats want to look at where most of Ohio's murders occur, who is committing them by and large, and the demographics of victims and assailants. But we're going to do that. She says there are a lot of, and I'm a regular guy. You know, Democrats always talk about the working man. Remember when Hooper told Quinn he was tired of his working class BS? I mean, I can look this up, Mara, and, I don't sit on my ass in an office like you worthless piece of crap. And I know this. Come on, dummy. What's your excuse, you idiot? She says there are a lot of political views among victims of crime, and I guess by that she means black folks who are disproportionately victims of murder, and particularly young black men, have a diverse number of political views. Yeah. Mara probably also doesn't know that blacks, and particularly young black men, are disproportionately the perpetrators of murder as well. You can call me racist, but you can't call me wrong. Do they have a diverse number of political views? Donald Trump slowly chiseled away some support of black men in 2016 and 2020. Here's to more black men waking up and wandering off the progressive socialist Democrat plantation that wants to keep them poor. Let's play the clip for this functionally retarded mouth breather right now, and then we'll get back to debunking it even further.
To Alvin Bragg as he prosecutes Donald Trump.
Well, I don't think it was very effective. I mean, one of the strange things, just there was no photo op for them. So they were in New York, but they could have been in any room, anywhere in the country, in this tiny federal space. That was strange. But also, it's just disgusting to see lawmakers of any party exploiting the grief of cherry-picked, hand-picked individual victims of crime and their family members for their own political purposes. There's something extremely disgusting about that. And of course, we know, just like any other population, victims of crime have all kinds of different political views. And so these were obviously cherry-picked. And then, of course, you have the hypocrisy because, there are places like Columbus, Ohio that actually where Jim Jordan is from that have higher rates of crime than New York City.
That's a great point. And
because, there are places like Columbus, Ohio that actually where Jim Jordan is from that have higher rates of crime than New York City.
That's a great point.
Okay. Ruh-roh. Columbus, Ohio is not even in Jim Jordan's congressional district, so I have no clue what this idiot is yammering about, and Jordan did not grow up in Columbus. What the heck? I guess if you are an assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State after not growing up in Franklin County and wrestling for the Badgers, that means you're from Columbus. It is true that Columbus, Ohio has a high murder rate and is within Franklin County, another Democrat-leaning county in a now GOP-dominated state. Mara whines about cherry-picked stats, and I would accuse her of cherry-picking, but I'm not sure she's smart enough to do that. I am going to have a lengthy essay coming very soon on whether high murder rate areas tend to have more murders outside and with a firearm than, say, civilized areas like Iowa. I will be done with that soon, but I'm going to post some data from that. According to Dave Leap's Election Atlas, in every single statewide election in Ohio since 2012, save one time, that county has voted for the Democrat, the only exception being the 2014 gubernatorial sweepstakes. Most of the time, it voted 60% for the Democrat or gets close, so that needs to be mentioned. Check out Ohio's state House Districts 3, 6, and 7. That encompass Columbus. All the links will be in there. All Democrats. Columbus is even more insane than Franklin County en masse. Mara Gay is so dumb, she probably doesn't even know this and assumes since Ohio has a Republican governor and 2 Republican U.S. senators, the whole state must be Republican. No, dumbass. Not even close. Now let us get to some uncomfortable data that makes the Democrats squirm. According to the FBI, from 2017 to 2021 in the Buckeye State, of the 2,963 known locations for murder, 49.74% were inside a resident's home. Of the 2,963 known locations for murder, 43.26% could be considered as having occurred outside. Of the 2,846 known weapons to commit murder in Ohio 2017 to 2021, just a skosh under 80% were a firearm. Columbus, from 2017 to 2021, now there was no signal there for murders taking place outside in that city. Just a skosh under 40% of the murders there in Columbus took place outside. However, from 2017 to 2021, of the 628 known weapons to commit murder in Columbus, almost 87% were a firearm. And you'll see when I do put that essay up, all these Democrat-dominated cities, and a lot of them are shrinking, so they're in counties that used to vote Democrat, but so many people have left that they can't run the county anymore. Dayton, Akron, Toledo, blah, 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 Cleveland. You'll see that in those cities, you're more likely to get murdered with a firearm. And they vote Democrat. Still, the few people that are left in Dayton and Columbus is growing, and the murder rate is also growing as well. The FBI has data on murder victims, too. I skipped ahead, sorry. According to the FBI from 2012 to 2021, there were 1,174 murder offenses reported by the Columbus Police Department, and that's a murder rate of 13.554 per 100,000. That is eye-popping high. Really, really high. The FBI has data on murder victims, too. Of the 1,141 murder victims where we know the race of the victim, this is 2012 to 2021 in Columbus, 1,141 murder victims where we know the race of the victim, 73.88% of the victims were, guess what? Black. Of the 885 murder offenders in Columbus during that time frame where we have the race of the murder offender, 80.11% of them were black. Columbus has become more diverse over the past few decades, but the murder victims and perps aren't diverse. Columbus is still less than 30% black, so let that soak in. Over almost 74% of the murder victims are black, and 80% of the offenders are black in a city that's 29% black right now. Whoops. According to the state of Ohio from 2012 to 2022, just another source to look at, Columbus had 1,362 murders. That is a sky-high murder rate. Ohio's statewide murder rate, for your information, Mara Gay, is typically well below half the rate in places like Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo, Cincinnati, Akron, Dayton. So even though you don't understand statistics, I'll explain it to you, dumb. I almost used profanity there. Explain it to you, you moron. Those cities are pulling up Ohio's murder rate. And I've got tons of data on murder rates outside these Democrat enclaves, and in Ohio, it's really low. Of Ohio, here's another little piece of information. Of Ohio's 88 counties, 34 of them had no murders in 2022. Ohio counties with no murders, the whitest counties you know. 54 of Ohio's 88 counties in 2022 had less than 2 murders. Over 31% of Ohio lives in counties with less than 2 murders. Ohio is a red state that has a lot of murder problems, but those are in the diverse counties that are typically won by Democrats in large margins. Akron, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Toledo, etc. The demographics of those counties say a lot without saying anything at all. Tim Ryan, the Democrat who ran against J.D. Vance, failed to capture any of the counties, and I use 60% or greater as my threshold. These are, you have to have uber support, so if you won this county with 58% of the vote, I didn't count it. Just keep that in mind. Tim Ryan, the Democrat who ran against J.D. Vance, failed to capture any of those counties in Ohio that had less than 2 murders last year. J.D. Vance won them all but 8 with 60% of the vote or more. What's that say? Huh? Hello? Mara Gay is the one doing cherry picking, if cherry picking is even being done. Does she think the entire state of Illinois, for example, is full of murder victims, as the land of Lincoln is usually trending above the national murder rates, or is it mostly Chicago? And you can throw East St. Louis in there, too. There's one other county they have issues, too, but it's mostly Chicago. Does Mara Gay think the entire state of Delaware is a war zone, or is most of the violence confined to Wilmington? Speaking of New York State, in 2022, make sure you read this transcript, folks. In 2022, 29 of New York's 62 counties had less than 2 murders. Almost 9% of New York's population lives in counties with less than 2 murders. Chuck Schumer in his Senate race last year did not win any of those with 60% of the vote or more, but Joe Pinion won them all of them but 11 with 60% of the vote or more. Counties in America that have less than 2 murders tend to be uber white and uber Republican. The safest counties in America are the whitest counties you know most of the time. I have tons of info on that. If anyone wants to challenge me on it, any Democrats want to challenge me, I'll be more than happy to. I'll be the lawnmower. You can whine about racism all you want, Democrats. It's a fact. Other than that, Mara Gay was right. I have volumes of information on this topic and will in the very near future collate all the sources into one post for everyone to look at. Mara Gay and MSNBC are quite stupid. Have a nice day and don't thank me now for the information.